Many startups fail, but some fail so spectacularly that they become forever enshrined in notoriety. Whether it's wild card, wannabe rockstar CEOs, false advertising, or generally ridiculous ideas, some startups are destined for an explosive demise. Strap a pillow to your hand and prepare to facepalm yourself into oblivion as we explore some of the most hilariously tragic stories of failure in startup history. Number 10. Clincal. Before Apple Pay and Google Wallet became the pervasive forces they are today, a promising app seemed likely to take the newfound mobile payments market by storm. Clincal, founded by Lucas Duplin in 2011, once enjoyed investments from the likes of Richard Branson and raised $25 million in a matter of 3 months. The extent of their confidence that Clincal would eventually make paper money obsolete was demonstrated in a leaked photo showing Duplin and Branson burning piles of fake money. But this confidence came long before the final product was ready, and it would be 3 years before a restricted access version was released to college students. To make matters worse, the app barely worked, and other services like Venmo and Apple Pay were rapidly taking over the market. All that hype led to nothing more than a rapid spending spree in an effort to get things off the ground, and employees began to quit en masse in protest of their unreliable CEO. 2015 saw Clincal's eventual demise mere months after the publicly available version finally launched. It seems fate isn't a big fan of obnoxious overconfidence. Number 9. Secret. Secret was an anonymous message posting app launched by David Bitto in 2013. People were able to use the app to share secrets with others in their area. And unsurprisingly, hateful messages, rumor spreading, and bullying soon became prevalent. Although this was essentially the app's original purpose, Bitto claimed it had deviated from his original vision. He and his co-founder used this excuse to pocket their investors' millions. Bitto even bought a Ferrari while slowly, furtively moving towards collapsing his company. Secret eventually shut down in 2015, and Bill Morris of Google Ventures, a former Secret investor, compared Bitto and his partner's actions to a bank heist. To whatever extent this shutdown had been the long game plan for Bitto, he certainly enjoyed the gold-lined pockets of a master robber after the debacle. But the true losers in the situation were his employees, who were left with empty pockets while their CEO drove his new Ferrari off into the sunset. Number 8. Lilly Robotics. As 2015 was wrapping up, 60,000 people were excitedly awaiting the arrival of their special new drones. You see, earlier that year, Lilly Robotics launched a crowdfunding campaign for a small drone that could automatically follow you around, taking pictures and videos. It was a great concept for everyone from travel enthusiasts to surfers and went viral instantly. The attention netted Lilly an astonishing $34 million in pre-sales. But as big of a check as that was, it was no match for the R&D cost it was meant to cover. You see, when they launched the campaign, their product wasn't finished. In fact, leaked emails revealed that they'd actually used GoPro footage to promote the Lilly drone, and their officers were raided on fraud charges as a result. With no actual product and all their money gone, they were forced to offer refunds and went bankrupt in 2017. Number 7. TheGlobe.com. Before Facebook and even MySpace, the social network making waves was TheGlobe.com. Their stock price jumped 600% the day they debuted on the market in 1998, the biggest ever first-day price increase at the time. But the Globe's CEO and founder, Stephen Paternotte, liked spending money as much as making it. He was often spotted strutting about clubs in velvet pants with model companions, pompously issuing remarks like, "Got the girl, got the money, now I'm ready to live a disgusting, frivolous life." Those words didn't age well. Economic tides shifted, and when the dot-com bubble burst, TheGlobe.com saw their shares, once worth $97 each, plummet to less than 25 cents. Investors pulled out, and both Paternotte and his co-CEO stepped down from the company in 2000. The lesson? Don't fly too close to the sun, especially when you're wearing velvet pants. Number 6. Power Technologies. According to CEO Dan Wagner, the long-term goal of Power Technologies was to become the biggest tech firm in living memory. All they had to do was release a star product, something everybody would want. A code scanner? That's right, along with a mobile app and point-of-sale terminals for retailers, one of the company's debut products was a scanner known as the PowerTag, which launched in 2014. The idea was that consumers could use it to buy products from advertisements that displayed a special tag. If that sounds like a glorified QR scanner, that's because it was. Attempting to take on companies like Apple for the #1 tech spot with ideas of this kind was brave, to say the least. Despite this, they enjoyed a promising start, raising $175 million in a year and a half. At their peak in 2015, they were even valued at $2.7 billion, making them one of the most valuable startups at the time. They were even praised by the Prime Minister of the UK at one point. Success would be short-lived though, thanks to their failure to deliver on product promises, excessive salaries for the higher-ups, and a propensity for lavishness. Opulent parties with rivers of sparkling wine and strippers for entertainment were commonplace, which would have been less damaging if Powell was bringing in money. It wasn't. In fact, as 2015 wore on, public interest diminished and they failed to pay many of their staff and contractors. All the while, their CEO was having a great time sending staff emails about dressing up as David Bowie. Damn, those pants are tight. Eventually, Powell filed for bankruptcy and its main division, including PowerTag, were sold off. There may have been plenty of booze and strippers, but ultimately, the company lost that game of PowerTag. Number 5. QCat. Although the PowerTag seems like a uniquely dull idea, it can't even claim originality. The concept originally emerged during the tech boom of the late 1990s in a goofy invention called the QCat. The device plugged into your PC and could scan special barcodes on products and magazines, taking you to the websites in turn. It resembled a cat, pairing seamlessly with your mouse, because who doesn't want their desk to look like a barn? In a leap of totally unfounded faith, the company sent millions of these plastic felines to people across the US for free. This was, of course, an effort to create hype, which was bolstered by Wired and Businessweek throwing QCat codes into their magazines during the launch. The recipients, however, didn't feel like keeping the weird wired device by their side when they read magazines. The lack of any discernible public interest led to them becoming a $185 million failure for investors and a bizarre, forgotten relic of the era. Number 4. iSmell. Would you like to smell the internet? You know, just get a good whiff of whatever you're looking at. If you're currently frowning in confusion and disgust, congratulations, you're a normal person with normal reactions to bad ideas. But in the early 2000s, DigiSense Inc. lacked your rational sensibility. Seeking to distill the aromatic essences of enjoyable experiences like a walk on sun-kissed beaches filled with beautiful people, the company's founders came up with one of the most wonderfully weird ideas of all time. Seeking to create a type of smell-o-vision for the internet, DigiSense raised an impressive $20 million from investors in Asia. The device connected to a computer and would issue a selection of scents related to what was on screen. The aromas came from replaceable cartridges filled with tiny vials of scented oil. Whether it be oranges, sardines, or a campfire, the primary scents would be heated and vented out of the device, which reportedly covered a huge range of smells. With the interestingly named iSmell, DigiSense managed to secure high-profile partnerships with Sony, Microsoft, and others who were eager to integrate smell into the digital sphere, even in video games. But it never occurred to them to ask customers if they'd buy it. They found out the answer regardless, with near zero demand and technical flaws that made the scents blend into Udo number 2. The company was shut down in late 2001. But hey, if you ever want to know what $20 million of investor cash burning smells like, just plug in an iSmell and crank it up to 11. Number 3. Juicero. When it launched in 2016, Juicero was touted as the first cold-pressed juicing system you could have in your very own home. It could connect to Wi-Fi, because why not, and utilize single-serving packets of chopped vegetables and fruits, which were acquired through a subscription. Founder Doug Evans promised his product would bring clean living and wellness to the people. Investors bought into the idea, and the company nabbed investments of $120 million. There was one minor problem, though. The machine cost as much as $700, and that was before you got the packets. But the true disaster came when people realized you could get the same juice the machine would spit out if you squeezed the $8 bags by hand. In light of this, Juicero promised refunds to customers and offered to release a $200 version. But it was too late. Juicero closed its doors in 2017, becoming synonymous with all the worst aspects of Silicon Valley cons. Number 2. PixelOn. Being an early video streaming platform in the late 90s, you'd think that PixelOn would be known for helping pioneer a now ubiquitous technology. Nope. What they are known for, however, is throwing a sweet party, bruh. How sweet was this party, you ask? Well, the MGM Las Vegas Bash in October of '99, their launch party included Kiss, Tony Bennett, Sugar Ray, Faith Hill, Dixie Chicks, Natalie Cole, and The Who. In fact, PixelOn CEO Michael Finney actually paid The Who to reunite just for that show. As a matter of fact, Finney was, in himself, another thing PixelOn became known for. But not for the kind of reasons a company usually wants. After all, having a CEO that turns out to be a wanted white-collar criminal living and working under an alias isn't too high up on most quarterly agendas. Michael's actual name was David Stanley, and he'd been on the run from Virginia State Police since 1996 after defrauding parishioners at the church where his father preached. He changed his name, reappeared in California, and started PixelOn with his business partner Paul Ward. Oh, and that famous party? They were supposed to live stream it with PixelOn's tech, but error after error popped up, and it became evident to all that their supposedly innovative technologies were wildly exaggerated. Angry board members ousted Michael from his position by mid-November. A few months afterwards, police found him in Orange County, and he turned himself in. PixelOn underwent a sudden, violent decline in the following year and filed for bankruptcy in June 2000. But having had the shindig of the decade, was it really a failure? Let me know what you think in the comments. Before I unveil the greatest startup failure of all time, there's one startup that deserves an honorable mention. This particular startup, known as No More Wolf, promised to answer a question every dog owner has had. What if dogs could speak? Unfortunately, the Indiegogo backers were never given that answer, as the company took their money and disappeared into radio silence. In their Indiegogo campaign, No More Wolf had promised to use innovative scientific principles to process doggy brainwaves into human language. Unsurprisingly, the project proved unviable, and after months of silence, the startup eventually issued all backers a refund. But there's more hilarious failed startups that failed to get enough funding. This is Paul, a smartphone charger that's built into an art sculpture. At $400 a piece on the Kickstarter website, it's a wonder why even two people put money forward to back it. Number 1. Theranos. In 2003, when she was just 19, Elizabeth Holmes started Theranos. After dropping out of Stanford, she put together the mother of all sales pitches for a device that could test for almost any disease with just a few blood drops. Garnering instant confidence from top-tier investors, Theranos hit a $1 billion value by 2010. 3 years before the company would introduce itself publicly. As the decade progressed, the company reached a $10 billion valuation, and it looked like Theranos was on top of the world. However, in 2015, the Journal of the American Medical Associates published a piece criticizing Theranos for overly secretive operations and failing to contribute its research to peer-reviewed medical publications. Later that year, ex-employees exposed the awful company management and exaggerated potential of their technology. By exaggerated, they meant their supposedly revolutionary technology fulfilled almost none of the promises, forcing Theranos to use regular blood testing equipment. Theranos was charged with massive fraud by the SEC in 2018, and Holmes and former Theranos president Sunny Balwani got hit with 11 counts of fraud themselves. The company shut down in September of 2018, and one of the highest profile rises and falls in startup history was over. Ouch. Which of these startup fails made you laugh the hardest? With the same opportunities, what would you do differently? Or like PixelOn, would you just throw the biggest party ever with investors' cash? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.